It's October 11th, 1973, in Pascagoula, Mississippi. Charles Hickson and Calvin Parker are fishing by a river, and something utterly bizarre happens. They look up and they see a craft. It doesn't have wings. It doesn't look like anything they've ever seen before. It has these weird lights, and they're just mesmerized by it. They can't take their eyes off it. And all of a sudden, they see three figures come down from the craft, and they're not walking, they're literally floating. And they describe them as being very swift and smooth. They had slits where their face should be, their eyes should be. They didn't have hands, they had claws. And before they knew it, they were being lifted into this craft. And when it came to the lifting aspect, they weren't brought by anything other than light, is what they described. So basically, they were just brought via light into this craft, and they were there for a few hours. And they reported essentially being examined and looked at. Nothing happened to them that would hurt them, but they were then dropped back into the field. They call the police, and of course, no one believes them because what they just said sounds crazy. But what got people talking and people to start to look at this closely is when they put the two men into separate rooms, even when investigators had left and there's cameras rolling, which these men didn't know about, they never broke the feeling of terror. They were just absolutely terrified the entire time, and their stories never changed. Both of them had exactly the same story. There wasn't any waver in how they delivered it and how scared they were. And people began to believe them. So this became a famous alien abduction in Pascagoula, Mississippi, and they maintained that story for years and years after. And one of the men actually on his deathbed said that everything he had said is true. However, there was actually more that happened inside that craft that he's never disclosed, and he brought it to his grave. And that's the last of what we know about that abduction. But the people that experienced those men said that they didn't feel like there was any sort of story making just because of how intense they were about the fear that they experienced on that night. And that is the Pascagoula abduction.